What is up, people? It is Mixmaster58. Welcome back to another video review. And today, guys, is a monumentous day. Today, we are going to be doing a review on the Transformers Studio Series 86 Devastator as a whole. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to get all the Constructicons and show you how to transform them into their combined modes. I'm going to show you how to combine all of them, and then we are going to do an overview of the big, bad, most iconic combiner in Transformers history, Devastator. So like I said, folks, on my tweet, if you follow my social media or on my Instagram, it's time to devastate. So the way that this video is going to be laid out is basically just how I said. I'm going to go through each of the individual Constructicons, and I'm going to transform them into their combined modes, and then I'm going to have a section where I show you how to combine all of them into Devastator, and then from there we will take a look at Devastator as a whole. Now there will be links in the description, I'll tell you this right now, to every single of my Constructicon reviews, and very similar to Superion, there are going to be links down below to every single Constructicon and where you can buy them. So if you do wish to pick them up, I will try my best to provide all the links that I can down below so you guys can pick these guys up if you do wish to do so. Doing this just so that it's all concise, it's all, put together so that when it comes to a Devastator review, this is the only Devastator review you're going to need going forward, and that's very exciting. So like I said, really, really excited to bring this to you guys. So before we get into this, I'd like to say if you'd like to follow along, get all of your Constructicons into their vehicle modes first, because it is way easier to transform them starting from their vehicle modes rather than their robot modes. And so what we're going to do is we're going to basically, for long haul, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform him separately from his trailer, and then after we transform all the Constructicons, transform them from his trailer, because his trailer happens to be the bottom, thigh and waist part of Devastator. So that part will be transformed sort of in the middle of everything, because it is in the middle of the frickin' body. So without further ado, folks, we're going to start off with his right leg, which is going to be Scrapper. So taking a look here with Scrapper, I'm going to show you guys where to put the guns eventually. So we'll start off here. We're going to remove the gun and set that off to the side here. Then to transform Scrapper, all you got to do first off, take the bucket. You're going to snap it up like this. Then from here, what you're going to want to do is going to take this section, rotate this around, and then just re-snap it into place. And you're going to do that for both sides. So you're going to do that here as well. And then you're just going to make sure this goes like this. Now for this section, what you're going to do is you're going to essentially split it. Make this section like this, rotate this back a little bit, rotate this all the way around, and then you'll notice there's a tab hole there and there's a tab hole there. So we're going to wait to do this, tab hole there and a tab hole there, and we're going to wait to do this side later. But all you're going to want to do is just sort of rock that into place so that those go right into place there. And then this is basically Scrapper transformed into his leg mode. So from here, we're going to move on to Mixmaster. Alrighty, here we are with Mixmaster. Now going on to Mixmaster, first thing we're going to do, we're going to move the gun again. We're going to set this off to the side as well. And then what we're going to do here is we are going to very simply take the arms, and what I like to do is to rotate them 90 degrees. This keeps them out of the way. Very simply what we're going to do here is we're going to take the front section of the truck, we're going to untab it and rotate it. Now what you'll notice here is that there's 4 tabs here. There are 4 tab holes right here on the top, and you're just going to rotate it so that these collapse on the top of the truck. You're going to just tab that into place. Make sure that is all snapped into place like that. You can see that right there. That's all snapped into place. Then very simply, to finish this off, you're going to just open this part and leave it like so. And from there, here we have his left leg. And so for Mixmaster, we're going to probably move on to Long Haul. We're going to move on, excuse me, not to Long Haul. We're going to move on to the trailer of Long Haul next. Alrighty, so with the trailer, what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the accessories off, and we're going to put them off to the side. So fist 1, fist 2, chest ornament 1 and 2, and then the chest ornament 3. Going to remove those, and we're just going to set all of this stuff off to the side for the time being. Then what we're going to do is very simply, we're going to come here to the back, and we're basically going to, actually the front, front here, and then we're just going to untab and rotate this whole thing back like so. Then what I like to do is come around here. This will be the piece that you use to connect essentially the upper part of the body to the lower part of the body. So you're going to just rotate these up and snap them into place. Now what you're going to do here is you're going to untab what will become the waist flaps. You're going to untab those, rotate these legs on these very nice ratchet joints down, and then you're just going to fold these down. Then for the back section, you're going to fold this once, then you're going to fold this again, and you're just going to snap that all into place. And then I like to keep this down for the time being, and that will just result in the waist and thigh parts being transformed in essentially the abdomen area. And I'm going to actually, real quick, I'm going to move the camera up a bit, and then we're going to zoom out a little bit as well, just so that we can, there we go, just so we have that now in place. So this is his entire waist transformed. So from here, we're going to go from the waist, and then we are going to go right into Long Haul. Alrighty, funnily enough, for long haul, I actually don't care to remove the gun at all. I just think you can rotate it like that, and that'll be good. So to do long haul, like I said, I've shown you this probably in the long haul and hook review, but at the end of the day, we're just going to do it again, right? So what I'm going to do is we're going to untab this and sort of rotate it down like this, and just keep it out like this. Then we're going to take what is the arms, and we are going to untab those. It's the toughest part always about this. You're going to untab those from the side here, and then we're just going to pull them out for the time being. Then to do this back section, you want to keep the entire thing tabbed together. You want to keep it like this, and then from here, what you're going to do is you're going to take the top of the truck section, and you're just going to fold it down once, and then you're going to fold it down again. And then what you'll do here is you'll notice that there are two big groove sections right here. You'll take the heels of long haul, you'll fold those in, and you'll just lock those right into place on the top of the truck. Then from here, what you're going to want to do is these arms. These are probably the most annoying part. All you got to do is essentially, you'll see there is a tab hole right there. There's a tab there. There is also a tab right there. You can see that. And then there is a tab hole right on the opposite side, so you can see that on the inside right there. So what you want to do is rotate this around so that this tab on the back of the arm will tab into this tab here. So you want to do that, and then what you're going to want to do is tab this tab into this tab hole like that, so that it looks like this, right? And then you want to do the same thing for the other side. So just finagle around with this, rotate it around, tab the two tabs into place on the back of the arm, or tab the tab on the back of the arm into place. Then, like I said, you're going to take this tab right here, tab hole, and then tab this tab into it. And basically, you have long haul fully transformed. Because what you'll see is that these two tabs on what are his arms will eventually tab into hook here. So when it comes to this, this is long haul, and this is essentially the abdomen part of Devastator transformed. So from here, just like I told you, we're going to move on to hook. Alrighty, here we have hook. Now, I kind of had this little piece out, but for hook, it's pretty simple. So what you're going to want to do is first, I like to remove the gun because this one likes to fall off a lot. So we're going to remove that. And what I like to do is you're going to take this section and you're going to accordion it this way. I like to also rotate this up a little bit just to get this out of the way. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to rotate this section out and you're going to snap that right into place. Then from here, I like to rotate both of these down, although one of these you're going to end up rotating up. It's going to be, I believe it's going to be, I think it's this one. I can't remember which one. But regardless, what you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to open the cockpit. You're going to want to rotate this out, and then you're going to want to tab the cockpit back in. So these will become his arms. Then from here, you can come here down to the bottom of the crane mode, untab the feet, and then you're just going to want to untab this entire section and rotate it around. What you'll notice is that there is a tab there and that there's a tab hole on the side. You're going to want to squish both of these together, and you want to keep this side down, and then you want to take this section, you can rotate it up because this part will not do anything anymore. And then from here, the head should be dislodged. So what you see here on the top is there's a tab there and a tab there. There are tab holes here that correspond to that. You're just going to want to tab this all into place. So I like to push a little bit. Don't worry, it's not that much stress. I wouldn't worry about it. I've done this a bunch of times already, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But this is definitely the most annoying part. There you go. Snap that into place. And then what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the head. And we're going to keep the head like this for the time being because the head will be the last thing I transform. Then from here, you can just tab these back into place. Then from here, the last thing you're going to do is come down to Hook's chest. And then you'll notice that there's this bit right here. You're going to rotate that around, and then you're going to do this. So from here, we basically have the top half, and then push this out. We basically have the top chest, or the upper body of Devastator transformed when it comes to this. So when it comes to hook, we are good to go. So now all we have to do left is both of the arms, and so we'll start off with the left arm. We'll start off with Bonecrusher. Alrighty, now we got Bonecrusher. And these two, both of them, Scavenger and Bonecrusher, really aren't that bad to transform into Devastator. So the first thing we're going to do with Bonecrusher, we're also going to remove the gun. I like to do that just to get the stuff out of the way. Then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to come down here to the bottom, and I sort of like to untab this to get this out of the way. Untab the sections here. You're going to rotate this part out, and then you want to retab these back in. Now, as you retab the left one, and you're going to want to take these, you see these two little tabs, you want to rotate this up, and then you're just going to want to keep it like so. Then when you tab this back, and you can tab this in all the way, but the interesting bit is that this part, as you notice, always can go like this for the ankle rocker. Well, there's a reason it also does that. You see that there are two tab holes right there on the inside of the treads. You want to fold those down so that those fit inside of those tabs, and then there you go here. Then from here, you can take this, and then I just like to retab that into place. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have, you point it down like this. Ladies and gentlemen, here we have the left shoulder of Devastator, the left arm of Devastator, fully transformed. And yeah, so when it comes to Bonecrusher, we are finished there, and so we'll move on to the final piece, and that's going to be Scavenger. Alrighty, for the final piece, we're going to do the same thing. Take the gun, we're going to remove it. So after we do that, we're going to take the digger part, we're going to just collapse that like so. Come down here. It's a little bit, there's one extra step you have to do with Scavenger. So do the same thing. You're going to want to untab this, but as you rotate this out, this middle section here, what you notice is you have this purple bit here. You just got to fold that in. Then from here, you do the same thing. The only difference is it's on the opposite side. So you fold it from the right side this time when you retab these in. Then you tab this back in, and then you just fold this side down and tab that into place like so. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have Scavenger also in his fully combined mode. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to go from the very bottom and we are going to combine Devastator as a whole. So I'll show you how to do that. Alright, as you can see, I've zoomed out a little bit, and we'll obviously zoom more out as we get Devastator completed, and we'll, move the camera up and down just so you guys can get a better view of everything. But we're going to start off with the legs here, obviously, and so we're going to do Scrapper first, because Scrapper always gives me more trouble than Mixmaster. So what you notice is if you grab the waist bit, there is this section here, and essentially what you'll see, there is a tab here, and that's not fully tabbed in, that's annoying. That's a tab hole that will go into this, and then what you'll see is that there's this slider here. Essentially, you see this little bit right here, this little tab right there, this will slide. So what we're going to do is you're going to aim there, we're going to slide this in like this. That should tab into place, and then all you have to do is recollapse this and tab these into place like so, and then make sure you recollapse all of this into these two tabs if you haven't, and then we have this side. Then what I like to do is kind of do this and then just bend the ankle once. It just gives Devastator more stability. As you'll see, he tends to be top heavy. So from here, it's different with the Mixmaster. Well, you'll see that there is a sliding tab here, and you can see very easily see that this just slides like this, and then all you have to do is do that. And then the same thing here, just spread it out and then just pull the ankle once, and then this just gives him more stability going forward. So I'm going to move the camera up here. We're going to do the bottom of the chest. So for long haul here, to combine, I like to combine long haul and hook right away, and then we'll do the upper body. So what you'll notice is that there's a lot of tab holes and slots. You see that there is going to be I believe, where is it? There's this tab that will go into this little slot here. This will go into this hole here. So you can see that will go here into that. Then from here, this tab will go into this tab hole. And then you can see that this tab will also go into this one as well as this one. So you see this tab will go into here. And then this tab will go right into here. So I'm going to show you if I can do. What I like to do is either aim for this black one first or aim for the purple one. So I like to line those up. And then everything else should sort of line up if you have everything transformed correctly anyway. So tab those two into place, and then what you're going to want to do, come here to the side, make sure that's tabbed in, make sure this is tabbed in correctly as well, and then make sure that this is also tabbed in as well on this side. Oh, and that's going to come undone. That's annoying. Make sure it's all tabbed into place. There we go. There we go. And then just push it in. And then we have essentially the upper part of Devastator fully tabbed in. Then what you're going to do, you see this big box section right here? That will slot right on top of this. So what I like to do here, it's kind of hard to see because of the angle, but I like to go in like this and then you push, because this part, waist part, likes to split apart a good bit. So I like to push on it and just kind of slide this in. Again, this is the hardest. This is literally the hardest part, in my opinion, next to the arms. And you'll see when it comes to the arms are annoying. And I'll talk about the arms when we get to them. But then, there, we got it. Then you just slide it down like this. Like that. Then what you're going to want to do is when you come here to the back, you'll notice that there are these two tabs here. What you do is you take this section. You see there are two tab holes here on the back of what is that trailer from Long Haul. You want to accordion those so that all snaps into place like so. So you can see that much, and then you can do whatever you want with this. Then from here, I like to sort of start tabbing some of the guns. Doesn't really matter which ones, but I like to tab this here, which I believe this is, that's not Scavengers. That is, I believe that's not Mixmasters, whatever. But just tab one of the guns there. I like to take Scrappers, and then you can tab, or hooks. Then I like to tab this up here. And then from here, you can take Mixmasters. This one, I don't really care where I tab this one. Honestly, I'll just tab it here as well. Just tab that right there as well. Get that nice storage in. And then from here, we are going to show you how to do the arms, and then we will obviously add all the accessories after that. So let me adjust the camera again, like so. Alrighty, then from here, it's pretty simple. So for the arms, we're going to start off with his left arm. Basically, what you'll see is this slider. This will just slide right onto this bit right here. So you want to push it down like this. You'll get it here. Oh, I don't know why I moved it over this way. I apologize. You got to move it over that way and then slide this in. I'm sorry about that, guys. That's my bad there. And you'll hear a very prominent snap. There's your prominent snap. Then from here, you're going to do the same on this side with Scavenger. So you're going to take this slider part, and then you're just going to slide this on like so. You hear a very prominent snap, like that. Then from here, what you're going to want to do is when you rotate these around, you'll see that there are tab holes there. So to do the rest of his body for his accessories, so we're going to take one fist, rotate it around, and then this will be the left side. So you see that there is a tab hole in there. You're going to want to tab that in like so. Like that. Then you want to fold the tab down. So again, come here, fold the tab down, rotate this around. Then you're just going to take this section and you're just going to want to tab that into place. Again, remember that 5mm on the inside of that forearm. And then from here to do the chest, it's very simple. So we're going to take the chest bit. Obviously, you have a 5mm port there. You have a 5mm peg there. Going to peg that all in. And then you're going to do the same here. You're going to peg that into the side. Then what you'll see is that there are tab holes there, and then there, and then there are two tab holes there. These two tabs will tab into each of those sides on the shoulders, or the front of the arms, essentially, shoulders, whatever you want to call them. And then those two tabs will go into this little slot here. So you just grab these, tab these into place. Of course, when I'm on camera, lining this up is hell on earth. There we go. Got that all tabbed into place like so. Then from here, I like to take, actually, the one thing I made a mistake on, when it comes to, I believe this is Mixmaster's gun right here. What I like to do, oh no, this is Scrapper's, excuse me. When it comes to Mixmaster's gun, I just like to tab it right here onto the crane part here. And then what you can do is you can take the other guns. Here's Scavenger's. Just tab that on the back here. And then from here, you can even take this gun, and I just tab it here on Scavenger's side. You can just tab that like so. Then to finish this off, very simply, take the head, fold this out, pull the face mask out, or the face out, fold this back down. And well, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Studio Series 86 Devastator, fully combined in his absolutely amazing looking combined mode. And then guys, I gotta say, when we're talking about this Devastator, it just blows the Combiner Wars one out of the water in my opinion. But before we get into that, what I'd like to do is I will try to set him off to the side here, because just so you know, I apologize if you see, you know, my arms and stuff like that, but this is a big figure. I'm going to move this guy off to the side. I'm looking at my camera right now as well, just to make sure that I am not, or the camera being like that. Okay. I'm going to move this guy off to the side here just so that I can put a picture of Devastator right over here from the original cartoon. They match up pretty damn well. Of course, just like when it comes to any figure when you're going from cartoon to actual toy mode, there's some things you have to compromise on. And sure, this guy isn't perfect one-to-one as he is to the cartoon, but at the end of the day, he is really, really damn good and a marked improvement over the Combiner Wars one. But as we're looking at the details and everything like that, when we're comparing them both, what I'd like to point out is the worst part about Devastator. And so after looking at that picture, I will turn him around, and this is the worst part about him. See if you can see that on camera. Yeah, this is the worst part about him by far, is the back looks absolutely awful. Like, it doesn't look good at all. It looks really gross. It's not, okay, it's not terrible, but it certainly doesn't look pretty by any stretch of the imagination. And so when we're looking at this, sure, at the end of the day, it does suck that they couldn't make the backpack look nice. But what they did trade for, you know, cleanliness, I guess, when it comes to a figure like this, is this rigidity of this figure. This figure is rock solid, and I couldn't say the same thing anymore about the Combiner Wars one. The Combiner Wars one was still loose. Even when it was in its best mode, which was the combined mode, it was still rather loosey-goosey. Now, this this one, the other issue I have with this is that it's top heavy. When I first made this thing, I had, and actually the one thing I forgot to do, you can also take these sections, I didn't think about this, fold these down, you can fold these down as well, and then these act as, heals for Devastator just to give him some more clearance here. More stability there. I forgot to do that. My apologies. But when we're here, like I said, the Combiner Wars one, even when it was fully combined, was still loosey-goosey. This guy's other issue is that he is top-heavy. When I first combined him into Devastator, I had him on my desk, like I said, a couple of reviews ago for about a week, and during that time, there was many times where I had to readjust his stance, because there would be times I would accidentally bump into my desk on accident, and then he would start to wobble, and there was a couple of times he almost fell over until I caught him, right? And so, that's one thing that is also an irk about it. But like I said, despite the fact that they traded the cleanliness for more stability and rigidity, in my opinion, that's a better way of doing it, because at the end of the day, I'll tell you this, watch this. I can turn this guy around, I can shake him like this, and he is perfectly fine. The Combiner Wars one, if I were to do that to the Combiner Wars one, he would have fallen apart immediately. Like, something would have fallen off, one of the limbs would have fallen off. And that's one thing I'd like to talk about with this Devastator, is that I mentioned in the last video there was one thing I'd like to talk about more, and that is really just the feeling of this figure. When it comes to the Combiner Wars 1, the Combiner Wars 1 came as a full set. There was no, like, buying them individually. It just came as a full box set, and the issue that I had with it is that they put a lot of stuff into long haul. Like, they put essentially that entire bottom thigh and, bottom, crotch piece and all that stuff into long haul, and so what ended up happening was this long haul was mega compromised, by far the most compromised figure of the entire set. And because of that, they didn't scale with any of the other Combiner Wars figures at the time. They looked really, really goofy because they were huge, right? Because Combiner Wars Devastator was massive. And so they looked comically huge. And then the worst part about it was that the plastic quality just felt terrible. The plastic felt so thin, felt so brittle. The individual figures couldn't pose worth piss. They were terrible. What I like about this Devastator is even if you decided to not keep him in Devastator, which 90% of people will end up doing, each of the individual figures is a really solid figure. They're not perfect, but they're really good in that you can combine, you can display them separately as a group instead of the whole Devastator combiner, and you would still be a happy camper. But what I love about this is, like I said, that plastic quality feels really good. He feels dense, feels heavy, feels very rigid, and that is something I could not say at all about the Combiner Wars Devastator. So that's where this thing, in my opinion, is much better. Plus, like I've repeated over and over again in videos before, what I really like about this Devastator is the fact that he is a bit smaller. And I like this because when it comes to collectors, any of you can relate to this, it feels really good to just have extra space, right? I think when it comes to collecting, any one of us can all agree that it's always hard to find extra space to put your figures or anything that you're collecting. And so to have the extra space by making this guy significantly smaller than the Combiner Wars one, it's a huge win in my opinion. So let's get into the details here. So taking a look at the details here, you can see his head looks really good. Sorry for knocking the camera around, but you see his head looks really good. That detail in the chest piece looks really, really solid. And all those details from all of those figures really come out. Just the head looks so, so good. And you're coming down here, you can see the crotch piece, you can see everything. He is just so accurate, it's unbelievable. Again, the worst part about him is his back, but he just looks so, so good in terms of all these awesome little details that you can see across the figure. It just feels really good to finally have a more rigid, more consistent, just a Devastator that I feel will last a much, much longer time in comparison to the Combiner Wars one, because I still have my Combiner Wars one, and I'm going to repackage it, and I'm going to sell it at some point. So there's a toy store that about an hour and a half away from here, so I'm thinking about asking them if they're willing to take that figure in, because yeah, that's this is way, way better, so I can just get some extra space for my figures. So at the end of the day, that is really, really amazing. And so what we're going to do is we are going to set this guy off to the side here, and we are going to be doing a decent amount of size comparisons. Nothing too crazy, but I'd like to show you guys a lot of the sizes compared to this guy. Alrighty, as you can see here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Infernac Universe Deluxe Class Magnus. As you can see, there's a massive size difference. This guy is really big. He's a bit bigger than Jetfire and Skyfire. He's also the biggest combiner so far, which doesn't surprise me considering, guess what, he is 6 figures, and we'll get into that when we compare him to both Superion as well as Menasor here in a few seconds. Transformers Studio Series 86 Deluxe Class Bumblebee. The soon-to-be replaced Transformers Earthrise Voyager Class Starscream. Transformers Studio Series 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime. Another really cool comparison, Transformers Studio Series 86 Leader Class Megatron. Folks, here he is with the Transformers Age of the Primes, Superion, and this is where you can see the size difference. He's about half a head-ish or so taller than Superion, but like I mentioned a few seconds ago, when it comes to Devastator, he is 6 figures. All the other combiners pre-86 movie were all 5 Transformers, so the fact that he is bigger makes complete sense to me. Plus, the fact that he is Devastator, like that name should incite fear, that makes him, in my opinion, already warrant being a little bit bigger, but he's not significantly bigger. I mean, you can see he is about the same size, and it's so, very much within the realm of possibility that Superion could very easily take the fight to Devastator and vice versa. So really, really cool to see this comparison. And finally, folks, with Bruticus on the way, it is really exciting here. Here he is with the Transformers Legacy Menasor. As you can see, when it comes to the size, again, very much a little bit bigger than Menasor, but just like I said with Superion, this is a really good size. I like Devastator being a bit bigger, and at the same point, it is very easy to see that Menasor could very easily take the fight to Devastator, and I imagine that Bruticus will be no different, and I imagine when we get Defensor, that will also be no different there when we get, was it Streetwise, Blades, Hotspot, and I always forget the last, First Aid, and I always forget the last one, I think it's I can't remember if it's the bike, I always forget. But regardless, this is a really cool comparison, and I cannot wait to recreate the episode where Starscream gets the Combaticons, and then he obviously tries to, fight Megatron for leadership of the Decepticons. Then when Bruticus and Devastator are fighting each other, the Stunticons come in, and then Menasor annihilates Starscream and the Combaticons as Bruticus from behind. And then as Starscream reaches into the hole to look for Bruticus, he goes, Bruticus, and then Megatron grabs his arm and then goes, no, not Bruticus. And then Starscream gets his teeth kicked in by Megatron for trying to take over the Decepticons as per usual. Just a normal day for Starscream, right? But really cool to see this comparison. I'm really excited to get Bruticus eventually. They already showed the sort of gray-blue model of Onslaught, and it was exactly what we expected. I'm really, really excited to see him, though, in full color. That's what I'm really excited for. So I'm just really happy, guys. If you can't tell, I'm very giddy about this. Very, very cool. Alrighty, guys, and so the last thing we're going to do, we're going to show off the accessories, which is very simple. This is the last gripe in the articulation, but this is the last gripe I have, is you have his gun here. You can see it looks really, really good. I mean, you can see that on camera. Let me bring that up. There we go. Looks really good. Comes with Scrapper, right? And then all you have to do is, you have a 5mm here. You just peg that on to him right there. The issue I have is that it's very loose. The one thing, you can see that is very loose. The one thing I was disappointed with was that the Combiner Wars Devastator really wasn't always able to hold on to his blaster very well either. And the fact is, when it comes to this Devastator, that's one thing they didn't improve. And that annoyed me because I was like, oh, we have the 5mm peg system. We'll be able to put his gun into his hand relatively nicely without it being loosey-goosey. Nope, never mind. I was completely wrong. Sorry about that. But whatever. What are you going to do, right? It's a small gripe amongst a lot of really good here. So, for his articulation, we're going to remove the gun. His head is on the swivel. He can't really do anything else, which really does blow. The shoulders are both the same, so you can do a full 360 here. You can go out, you can go in. You have a bend here, you have rotation here, and then the wrists are also articulated. Then the fingers also open as well. You do have waist articulation, which is really nice, and then like I showed you earlier when transforming, you do have some pretty heavy ratchets, so you can go this far forward, you can go that far back. You're just hampered by this bit here. You have that much at the knee, so about 90. No rotation here, which does blow, but you have rotation here at the upper part of the thigh, which is nice. And then, like I've shown you, you do have some very nice ankle rocker pivot on both sides, but I wouldn't want to do too much when it comes to this ankle rocker, and then these flaps also open. And the reason being is because I'm afraid of stress, and sure, it might be PTSD from previous figures like Combiner Wars, but I just don't want to do anything to compromise the longevity of this figure's lasting. I really want this figure to last a long time. And so at the end of the day, despite his big size and a lot of the compromises they made to just make him stable, he can still pose really, really well. And that is one thing also you could not say about the Combiner Wars Devastator. And so, guys, for my final and concluding thoughts on the Transformers Studio Series 86 Devastator as a whole, this entire set is really, really amazing. Don't get me wrong, it's not without its faults. He's a bit top-heavy, the back looks terrible. In addition to that, there's some of the parts that still remain a little loose on him, and of course the other thing that bothers me is his gun really doesn't hold in his hand very, very well. But at the end of the day, this guy feels much better than the Combiner Wars one. Feels really rigid, feels very solid, very nice to pose, actually, at the end of the day. He also just has this denser, thicker plastic. The paint's more accurate, looks better, feels better. All the details are really, really good. I love the head sculpt and everything like that. He comes with what he needs to, and I also like his size. He's just a hair taller than all of the other combiners, and that's how it should be because he is Devastator, and he also is made up of 6 Transformers instead of 5, and so I really, really love that about this figure. So, at the end of the day, would I recommend picking this guy up as a whole? I absolutely would, and my score out of a 10 for him is going to be a 9. He is not perfect. Those compromises are still compromises, but at the end of the day, this is absolutely a combiner I recommend picking up, and if I had to say, if you had to pick him up or Superion, honestly, that's tough to say, but at the end of the day, because he is more iconic and plus he just feels a little bit better in terms of the rigidity, I would recommend picking this guy up over Superion, ever so slightly. But I'm really excited not only for this, I'm really excited to have Superion, and I'm really excited for Bruticus to come in as well. And so this is going to be really exciting for combiners. We're really knuckling down. I would love to see Defensor after that. Predaking would be awesome to have as well, even though I have no connection to Predaking would be great. And so, yeah, like I said earlier in the video, I basically bought all of this on Hasbro Pulse, so leave links, on Big Bad Toy Store, so leave links down below to all of these guys, as many links as I can for Big Bad Toy Store for all the individual figures. The same thing goes for Hasbro Pulse as well as Amazon if you guys wish to use those retailers instead of Big Bad Toy Store, and maybe some other ones if I can't find better listings, but I'll try to do that all in the description, as well as all of the video links to every single one of my Constructicon SS86 reviews will be in the description below as well, so you guys can take a look at those too. But I really think that's it for the review, and so I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe. Share this video with your friends, and also follow me on the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, and once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video review, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.